Listen, babe. Oh, yeah. It's alright, alright, alright. 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 It's alright, alright, alright. Listen, babe. Oh, yeah. It's alright, alright, alright. Listen, babe. Oh, yeah. It's alright, alright, alright.
happening? What's happening? What's happening? Y'all ready for another class? Welcome to Hope. For those of you who are new to the class, which is probably none, I'm Court, and this is Nana. Nana's in spirit. No, Nana's over there. We got another dope class, again, set up for you guys tonight. We're not going to let up off the gas, period, probably to the end of the year. So everything we do from this point forward is going to be concentrated. It's going to be impactful. It's going to be interactive in terms of just ensuring that, the questions and issues that you guys have, we're knocking them down, and that we really giving you guys as much game in all the game we got. So if you haven't got the memo, we've moved on to the next book, Emotional Agility. So that's the name of the book. If you haven't got it yet, please go cop it. Or there's free PDFs online. There's all kind of resources online that you can find the book, but it's called Emotional Agility. We're going to go over a couple of chapters today, but I want to lay the foundation of the book, why we're teaching it, the direction we're going, and how it applies to you and entrepreneurship. Also, there's no Miro board tonight, so we're going to interact on the Facebook chat. So if you want to, not Facebook chat, the YouTube chat. So all the interaction and fellowship and comments, let's all go to the YouTube chat. Good. So first, to preface this, emotional agility, let's talk about prior to this. In terms of entrepreneurship, there's a lot of buzz teachings that happen, and a lot of it revolves around the word motivation, right? If you're into personal development like I was, there's a lot of emphasis in terms of entrepreneurship, in achieving goals, and hitting targets that are connected heavily to the word motivation. So that's why I created a whole genre for itself called motivational speaking. Motivational speakers, and just the topic of motivation, it tricked the community and people at large into thinking that was the tool you needed to succeed or achieve a dream or build a business, was just motivation. So just like anything that gets diluted and jumped on and overemphasized, the real truth, the nuggets, gets buried down deep to the point to where all the players, all the fake players, all the players who think they got it or who just got good mouthpiece and are manipulative and influential to the game, then they become the popular, and then they end up convincing you their version of motivation and how motivation ties into your success, and it ends up leading you down this false rabbit hole. What you really need is emotional agility. Period. You need emotional agility, because entrepreneurship is so multifaceted, and you engage and involve yourself and connect and be around multitudes of situations, people, emotions, ideas, everything. So there's no one emotion fits all when it comes to success. It just doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. So if you think in terms of just motivation alone, what is it? How does it work? Can we use it? How do we use it? Is it effective? And at some point in this class, I'm going to go over what we created a couple years ago, and that's called the Ascension of Effectiveness. And it shows the different layers of activities that you need to engage in order to be completely effective. But in the bottom level of it starts with motivation. So why is motivation at the bottom level? It's because most of the time motivation starts with a carrot and a stick energy. So the beauty of motivation is that if you're motivated, it's better than depression. If you're motivated, it's better than depression. So let's start there. So we can't demonize motivation. Because if you're motivated, that means you're not depressed, and that's good. Because there's a thick line between depression and motivation. So if you have the ability to climb out of that gutter of depression onto a platform of motivation to where now you're ready, that's good. That's good. You say you looked at a picture of yourself on Facebook or something, and you didn't realize that you got that out of shape. Some people can get fucking depressed. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. I didn't realize I let myself go this much. Some people get motivated. Man, oh, fuck that. Man, I'm getting my shit together. Come on, let's go. I ain't never coming here again, ever. It's motivation. It's motivation. There's a story of a female entrepreneur, and they asked her, "Hey, what was the start of your business? How'd you get going?" And she said, "I went to my husband and I asked him for $10. And my husband said, 'What for?' And in my head, I'm like, what for? $10? And I ain't never asking you for money again. Motivation, right? It's a springboard. It's also the foundation of competition. Scientifically, that's where they say it's a foundation of competition. It comes from carrot and the stick energy. Meaning I want it, or I don't have it, or they got better than me, or I'm not where I want to be, or this shit hurts, or man, I'm never coming here again. That's all good shit. That's all good shit. That person, I know I'm better than this. I know I'm more capable. In practice, I beat that person one-on-one all the time. How come they got more playing time than me? I gotta get better. I'm motivated. But just remember, motivation is at the very bottom level foundation of being effective. Why? Because you can only be motivated so much, so long. You can only be motivated so much, so long. It's like a hit of adrenaline. Imagine if you had an adrenaline rush for 4 hours. It doesn't work. So motivation can spring you forth to make things happen, to make changes, but it's not that energy is not temporary. What we need is emotional agility, the ability to maneuver through our emotions effortlessly, the ability to maneuver through all of our emotions. Pick some, go here, go there in our emotions. Be willing to put a cap on some, to drive up others. There's no limits to which emotions you choose. There's no limits to the emotions you choose. As an entrepreneur, you have to have the ability to navigate through all of them, whichever ones are necessary and whichever ones are effective in the moment, at the time. You know what I'm saying? So remember, motivation is your springboard. There's others. There continues to stack. There's inspiration. There's purpose. So we're all moving and driving, and the goal is to be in our purpose, moving with our purpose, because purpose is you become a self-driving car towards your goals. You become almost a self-driving vehicle because purpose is so strong of an energy. It's almost like a huge magnetic force that's pulling you towards your goal. Motivation, inspiration, especially motivation. Remember, that's the lowest level. So if you're feeling motivated today to go do some stuff, that's dope. Good, that's fire. Don't count on that shit tomorrow or 3 days from now, because you're going to wake up feeling like a pile of shit and wonder, where did my motivation go? And quit, because that feeling of motivation is gone. So you're really just waiting for the next motivation high, and that can come whenever. Consistency is key. So in order to be consistent, because the food we put in our mouth, the outside influences, the sun, the moon, where the sun is that day, where the moon is that day, where you are, if you're a female, if you're on your cycle. There's so many other outside influences that can affect you. Somebody arguing with you, somebody don't like you, somebody just talked about you, somebody told you your product was a piece of shit, something just fell apart, your car don't work, all that stuff. The idea is to have the ability to perform the same every day. And you will use different tools every day if need be. As long as you're meeting the consistency. So if motivation is your only tool for that, you're fucked. You are fucked. Even if you call yourself a motivated person. I'm a motivated person. You're motivated because there's some pain that's chasing you. There's some pain behind you that's chasing you. It's a stick. Some stick swinging at you. But some days, that motivation's not going to show up. Imagine this. You say you're building a business and you're motivated to get yourself out the hood or get yourself out of a bad financial situation or to be independent, be on your own. Maybe you're in a partnership with somebody and you're not quite independent enough to live on your own. And that's your motivation because you can't stand this motherfucker. What happens when you get it? And you built a business and you have employees now that rely on you and you got rent due and you got customers that rely on you and everything and you in motion and all of a sudden you hit that number. Oh shit, I hit the number. If you're only driven by motivation, subconsciously your body's done. It relaxes. Oh, we made it. We're good. And that could dramatically devastate your business because now you got no more motivation. And so the world, entrepreneurship is the wild. It ain't going to wait for you to find your motivation. Your business is just going to collapse over time. Because now you're waking up a little later, you're leaving a little earlier, you're not as motivated, you don't got as much energy, you don't have as much competitive energy to make it happen. All that shit is relaxed because that shot of dopamine when you hit your number is swimming around in your system. So be careful. Be careful. So that's why this book coming up is so important and so imperative if you are an entrepreneur, but not just an entrepreneur, if you are a human, especially in a Black community, because we have so little tools to be able to manage our emotions. Emotional agility also is not about emasculating men. No. We couldn't teach that shit if we tried. It's giving you the tools to be able to make the best decisions. Giving you the tools to be able to make the best decisions. All right, let's get started. So, the first slide, the road from rigidity to agility. So, the beauty also, really peep the details in the words. It's not saying flexibility. See, the title could have easily been emotional flexibility. Because really the opposite of being rigid is what? Being bendable, flexible, right? But it's not. It's called agility, which I think is perfect because it's not about being flexible. It's about being able to choose your emotions and to be agile in moving from different emotions to the others in ways that make you the most effective. So us as black folks, that's a journey. It's hard. I suggest you read this book 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, as many times as you get it every year. I know I have. Because what it does is opens up a whole new world for you. It opens up a whole new world for you in order to be able to navigate. And mind you, I learned a lot from Buddhist practices in terms of being calm and being chill and all that shit. And it taught me how to be calmer and chill and not get riled up and not be tripping off stuff and that's not a big deal and all. Like, it allows you to bring all your emotions down, at least for me. It allowed me to bring all my emotions down. But still, they were still missing what happens when somebody press on you. What happens when somebody presses your buttons? And now it's time for you to not be at 0. Well, shit, I don't have nothing else but 100. I just trained myself to go from 100 to 0 and just stay at 0 all the time, and it worked a lot. But if you guys recall, I would say I'm still having incidents, right? That's what I call them, anger incidents. And I would go from like having 4 to 3, and I was down to like having 1 incident a year. Fucking road rage shit, or like where to smack the shit out of somebody, or like fights in the gym, 24-hour fitness bullshit. Like I was down to 1 a year. And a lot of that came from meditation and Buddhist practices and learning the art of detachment and just going down to 0. But there were instances where 0 wasn't needed. 100 wasn't either, but 0 wasn't needed. And I ain't have nothing. Once I got a hold of this book, no more. Because it gave me way more tools to use outside of just 0 and 100. And I think a lot of us black folks can relate to that because that's all we got too. Is you just you hold the energy in, you pent up, you don't say nothing, you don't hold it until you explode. So you have hold the energy and explode and nothing else in the middle. And this book is going to give you so much game, especially in terms of using it in entrepreneurship, because customers will test the fuck out of you. It just will. And it's not even purposely on their part. They think they're doing their job. So this is the book, Emotional Agility. So the goal is to not be rigid. It's not to be flexible either, meaning you don't just go around laying on your back. That's why I said this book is not about emasculating or demasculating men either or women. It's giving you better tools to win. But it's a win-win because the person on the other side a lot of times will feel like they won too. But you win still. You continue to win. Next slide. So I'm gonna need I'm gonna need a reader for this. Tanil, you got the mic, you gonna do it? Thank you. Because the way the chapter introduces itself, I want to just play this out. Because to me, this is a great reflection of a lot of shit that we do. So let's get started.
Years ago, in the downtown Abbey era, a well regarded captain stood on the bridge of a British battleship watching the sunset across the sea. As the story goes, the captain was about to head below for dinner when suddenly a lookout announced, "Light, sir, dead ahead 2 miles." The captain turned back toward the helm. "Is it steady or moving?" he asked. These being the days before radar. "Steady, Captain." "Then signal that ship," the captain ordered gruffly. "Tell them you are on a collision course. Alter course 20 degrees.
Okay. So, this is a ship that's 2 miles away, but this is the captain. So, who's going to move? Just a regular ass ship or the captain? So, of course, the captain is jumping in, letting it be known who he is. So, you got to move. Not me. I'm the captain. All right, let's go next slide.
The answer from the source of the light came back just moments later. "Advisable you change your course 20 degrees. The captain was insulted. Not only was his authority being challenged, but in front of a junior seaman. "Send another message," he snarled. "We are HMS Defiant, a 35,000-ton battleship of the Dreadnought class. Change course 20 degrees. "Brilliant, sir," came the reply. "I'm Seaman O'Reilly of the second class. Change your course immediately."
What? What you mean? I'm from the first class. I'm a 35,000-ton battleship. How you gonna tell me? How you gonna tell me to change my course when you are second class and just a seaman? You can see how the captain is enraged, right? How dare you? Do you know who I am? How dare you? Do you know who I am? And I got my junior guy next to me. I gotta really show off now. Let him know I'm big boss. I'm the captain. Let's go next slide.
Apoplectic and red in the face, the captain shouted, "We are the flagship of Admiral Sir William Atkinson Wiles. Change your course 20 degrees. There was a moment of silence before Seaman O'Reilly replied, "We are a lighthouse, sir."
I'm just gonna let that sit. Because if you've never been that captain before, you're probably a liar. If a lot of times you don't move like that captain, if you ain't honest with yourself. Because a lot of us, we calculate in our heads based on who we are, who our ego tells us we are, and we move around people accordingly. And sometimes our ego from the past book is so strong that we won't even reflect too long after we got molded. That's a 1980s Oakland word. We got molded. Our introspection won't even be that short. We'll just move on. That was just an anomaly. Well, whatever, and continue on with that kind of behavior. Black culture, we bump into so many lighthouses. What kind of tripper are you? When you walk down the street and you trip on something, do you just continue going like nothing happened? Do you look around to see if anybody saw? Do you look back at the thing, mad at it like it was its fault? Real talk. A lot of us bump into lighthouses all the time. Our ego gets the best of us. There's enough time and space before we get checked or molded for us to continue to build up with our ego. How could this have been mitigated immediately? Can anybody answer that in the crowd?
They could have just asked a question.
A question. He immediately start with, "I'm coming, move the fuck out my way." Not asking, "Who are you?" What's your position? What are you? So, lesson number 1 in emotional agility. Always lead with questions. Always lead with questions. She who leads with questions is immediately in control. He who leads with questions are immediately in control. Mentally, we think that's flipped. We think if we're telling somebody, we're commanding somebody, we're making statements, we think that's what control is. But true control is questions. And once you start dialoguing and asking questions, you are immediately in control. So lesson 1 as an entrepreneur, the one who asks the questions is in control. Period. Write that down, because that's probably some of the most important shit that you can write down from this class today. The person asking the questions is the one that's in control all the time. Period. Have you ever been in trouble with, this is the guys in this room, have you ever been in trouble with your woman? When them questions start ringing out, that nervousness kicks in, who's in control in that moment, you or her? And what do we say? We repeat the shit. Or say, what? Inherently, internally, they know. I'm in control. The minute I start ringing the questions out, you on the hook. I'm in control. And I got you on this hook until I stop asking questions. True or true? Men, we don't ask questions. We make assumptions. So understand, in business, in entrepreneurship, the person asking the questions is in the most control. Plus, it allows you to gather valuable intel about anything. In sales, I don't even start talking about sales. I shoot the shit with the customer. What's up? Where you from? What you do? How is it out there? And you're going to get so much information to prepare you to actually sell the shit you're trying to sell. It's incredible. How you been? You got kids? Oh, shit, for real? Well, man, how are we? Like, you can learn so much, and then you can fill in so many other blanks that can prepare. So when I'm asking questions, I'm literally just preparing my pitch while I'm asking questions, because I'm filling in the gaps. Okay, that person. Yep, got it. Yep, that happens. This is what, okay, all right. Don't talk about that because, you just seen him shiver up when okay, now I know, stay away from that. Let's go here. Oh, that person has low self-esteem, so let me really give them a lot of encouragement and tell them that they're doing a good job. Like, you can literally prepare your pitch asking questions on the spot. So lesson number 1 of this, the person asking the questions is in control. You always want to know if you're dealing with a lighthouse. If you're running around thinking that you're not dealing with a lighthouse because you didn't ask the question, that's how you crash. Next slide.
Emotions from blinding rage to wide-eyed love are the body's immediate physical responses to important signals from the outside world.
Okay, let's stop there. So, understand this. Emotions are not bad. And there's nothing wrong with you. This is how we are wired as humans. That's what makes us amazing. We're beautiful. That's what makes women amazing and beautiful. That's what makes men who they are, is we have evolved as a species based on our emotions, our emotional signals. And our connection to this planet, our connection to each other, allows us to use our emotions to engage and communicate and interact and respond to each other, which comes from millions and millions of years of evolution. So, first of all, this isn't ego as an enemy anymore. So don't demonize your emotions. They are who you are. They are what they are. And they all have different varying degrees of intensity. It's part of us being human. And that's what makes you unique as a human. Sorry, this train. The whole idea and the whole goal is to understand your way of emoting. It's to understand your way of being emotional and what those emotions do to you and where you are and how to function and use your emotions. That's it. To know where you are. You know, last week we was talking about the Emerald Tablet of Egypt, right? And it was like know yourself. That's also why it's so important. You got to know yourself. You got to know what certain emotions do for you. Like, how do you respond? What's your anger look like? What's your anger look like? What's your resentment look like? What does joy feel like to you? Happiness. Like, understand what how those emotions operate in your body is getting to know yourself and how to move. Other thing, emotions are just physiological storms in your brain. So what I mean by that is emotions aren't real. They feel real. They'll tell us it's real. The feeling of anger is real, right? The feeling of anger is real. But it's just a physiological storm going through your brain. It's just electrical signals. It's not actually real. Being in love, that feels fucking amazing and crazy, and like the whole world is just flowers and orchids and all kind of shit, and it feels so amazing. This person's my soulmate, and like I just never want to be without this person. And you get all these bubbly emotions, and you think the whole world has changed. The truth is, it's just a physiological storm in your brain. It's not really real. It feels real to us. Doesn't mean that we walk around trying to be like robots, because the purpose of being a human is to experience emotions and experience what it's like to be here. Feel it all. The idea is we're all in these Ferraris and we don't even know how to shift the gears. We don't even know what all the buttons do. We just know how to turn it on and drive to work 15 miles an hour. We don't even know how to work them. So the goal is you got to put in the work, understanding what does this button do? What's that button do? How does that work? Well, oh shit, I ain't pressing that no more. How does that work? And the more you do that, the better you'll be able to navigate your machine. Let's continue.
When our senses pick up information, signs of danger, hints of romantic interest, cues that we're being accepted or excluded by our peers, we physically adjust to these incoming messages.
Okay. So as humans, we're herd animals. That's another thing. We're contrary to popular opinion that says we're carnivores, we're not. We're herd animals. Sort of like horses. We move in herds. That means we're affected by each other, by how someone feels about us, what they say about us, the interactions with each other. We're affected. So in order to evolve and get better, you have to be really strong in terms of understanding what those inputs, those signals from the outside world do to you and what you do with that. Because naturally, without making any effort, you're going to naturally respond the way you respond. It's like when old times when babies were born and they used to be born real close together. If one baby cries, then all the babies cry. Right? This is so strong and powerful. That's why television is what it is. You have actors on the other side of a screen faking scenarios. And you know they're faking the scenarios because it's a show. And y'all still cry at the end. Or you still will hate the main evil character. And if you see him in real life, you want to do something to the motherfucker. And he's like, yo, I'm just an actor. It's because these senses are so strong, it can't even tell the difference between real and fake, even when you know it's fake. So if it's that difficult when you know it's fake, imagine how hard of a time you have when the shit is real. You know how popular WWE is? The fuck? These dudes running around fake hurting each other and you know it? And I had somebody who for real try to fight me just for saying this shit. That's called, and what they call that is click-word response in the science world. It's called click-word response. Is that if you can mimic something close enough, the brain automatically responds in a way that's like it was real. So it came from a study did with turkeys. So they took these turkeys and they took their enemy, the arch enemy of the turkey was a meerkat at the time. So if you took a meerkat, a stuffed meerkat or polecat, whatever one, and took it in, put it in the pen of a turkey, the turkey will rip it to shreds, rip it to shreds. But if you stuck the polecat in the pen, but you put a recording of a baby turkey's cheep, the fucking turkey will pull it in and nurture it. And that's what a lot of us do in real life. We have very little control over how we respond a lot of times based on how our emotions will reach out. We all had white mics in our neighborhood, right? Just a cool ass white boy who grew up in the hood too, and over time the nature affected him in a way to where his rhythm was like your rhythm. You forgot he was a white boy. Because once you're able to mimic the rhythms good enough, the environment will forget that you're different. It's a fucking cold ass game. That's why if you ever been in a corporate world and a white person just start being racist around other black people around you, because you integrated so well, because, oh, well, black people, but not you. You're cool. You're cool. It's because that's that click word, cheap response. That's that turkey shit. And in their mind, you've hit all the buttons and the boxes in their mind emotionally, so now they don't even know, they forget. Now you in. That's how powerful the mind is and emotions work. So once I understood the volume, I made it a mission to learn. How do I control this shit? How do I engage? How do I enhance? How do I improve? How do I use my strengths? How do I manage my weaknesses? So that I'm the most effective that I can be every day? Because as an entrepreneur, you're going to need it. You're going to be tested like a motherfucker. Tested to your limits. Let's continue.
Rigidity may come from the perfectly normal habit of taking mental shortcuts and accepting presumptions and rules of thumb that may have served you once. in childhood, in a first marriage, at an earlier point in your career, but aren't serving you now. People can't be trusted. I'm going to get hurt.
So rigidity is one of the biggest downfalls of our community. Emotional rigidity is one of the biggest downfalls of our community. You want to know why a lot of you aren't growing as an entrepreneur? Emotional rigidity. Period. This is how things always been. This is how you was raised. That's weak. That's stupid. That ain't make no sense. I ain't doing that. Man, I'm out here looking stupid. And that's not how we do it. Black folks don't do this. Black folks don't do that. Blah, blah, blah. All these rules. And now you're rigid. You're stuck like a fucking ice. Like you're negative 30 degree outside, just stuck, trying to move. You're rigid because you got all these rigid rules that boxes you in. And your ego is the glue that keeps all that shit together. Because it keeps reminding you that what you're doing is right. What you're doing is the right thing to do. It's rigidity. All the OGs who still got the click clacks on with the pager on the hip, talking about back in my day, because that was a prime and that's when shit was popping, refused to evolve, rigidity. Blockbuster, refused to evolve, rigidity. That's what rigidity does. Ford, tough time evolving, they're rigid. You want to continue to grow, evolve, expand, scale as a business? If you want to scale as a business, you're going to need emotional rigidity more than anything else. Because you cannot move with the changes of the environment with integrity and purpose if you're emotionally rigid. You just can't. You're going to tank. Your shit's going to tank when the trends change, when things evolve. Period. It's going to be hard for you. Can you imagine the emotional, rigid people who, when they saw Kamala Harris get voted in as vice president or Obama come in, those emotional rigid, that's what happened at the White House is a result of emotional rigidity. Bottled in, oh my God, our country. Because when you think shit ain't fair or it ain't the way it's supposed to be, then what ends up happening is you bottle that emotion later to be released at a different date at an inconvenient time, and then it pops off. Being rigid, to me, is the toughest thing as black folks that we struggle with. Not even blaming us. It's not saying it's our fault or not. It's just where we are. That's why how wars last long. So it's not just a black thing. It's how wars last as long as they last. Emotional rigidity. Vietnam, emotional rigidity. Because we are getting our ass kicked and I'm not moving. I can't do it. No, I can't. We're going to continue this till we win. And years go by. More men die. Because we're so emotionally rigid, we don't want to break our position. So sometimes you look like the weaker, like you're taking a weaker stance. You're always taking the most effective stance, the best stance. Sometimes you got to smash on somebody. Sometimes you got to check somebody. You might even sometimes have to punch somebody in the mouth, but it never comes from that you are emotional. It was the best move to make at the time. So it's not about being weak either. Let's go. Let's continue going. Yep. Crip, walk on over here. You look like you in pain. Shit.
Threw my back out, but so I know you were saying it as like a joke or a funny, but like we all have ego problems. I for sure have had to check my ego over the years, especially as I grow my business. And there will be some points where I can be in what would organically be an emotional state, but I've had times where I can like have the emotion but have it in the background and still have the logical conversation that I need to have. And then there are other times when my ego gets in the way, and even though I know how to turn that switch on, the switch the wall disappears, and then like I'll be like, see, now you made me smash on your punk ass because I tried to be cool, and so then it's like in my head I'm like, nah, they just stepped out of bounds like 20 times and you're only supposed to get 3 fouls, right? But then on the other side I'm just like, so how do you like get yourself in check when like your ego is on, or you know you should be composed but you don't? Because you said like you were saying, you know, sometimes I have to, or just because that's the only option, but not from an emotional space. But how do you check yourself? Because I think that's like the big thing is like getting that under control.
This emotional agility thing is not I read this book and now I'm dope. This emotional agility thing is I read this book and now I just moved up 0.4 points. Now and now I'm a practice with what I know now, and I went from a D- in terms of being out in the wild and practicing this, and now I'm a D. And I read it again, and now I go to a D+. And I go out in the wild, and I feel like I got it. Ooh, I just did an excellent job this time. I'm a C. And then I go out and practice, and then a situation happens where I completely fuck up, and I'm back down to a D+. And that's the journey of failure and growth until you get to a point where you got 0 incidents, right? But it's a never ending. It's a continuous growth, because the reason being is we don't have a lot of high pressure moments like that. It doesn't happen every day. It only happens every once in a while. So your practice time is very limited because those being in those exact situations are limited. So you really have to add those up over time to really get good in those moments. So that's why we go so crazy when a player hits a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 buzzer beater shot, because those rarely happen. And for that player to be that good and that poised in those moments makes it even greater when it goes in. So the excitement, like sometimes I be hella juiced in those moments where I engaged and I had the emotional agility and I brought the person from a 10 down to a 1. Matter of fact, they're happy when they walked away. And I love it when it happens like that. And it seems like a lot of times the moment where I'm feeling like I got it, the very next time I fucked up. Shit. Maybe it was overconfidence on my part or whatever. But what was dope about it is it keeps me humble, and it keeps me working on it, on my toes. Because there's a balance. Because sometimes in the tension in those moments, sometimes you just want to say, man, just take it. Just take it. You can have it. Because I don't want to fight. I'm trying to work on that part. But now part of you wants to just give in too, because of the tension of it. So you have to find the win-win. So the question, how do you know, is when you walk away from the thing, the event, and you won and the other person wins. It's a win-win. Win-win is the highest class of engagement with another human. I win and you win. He came in super angry. I used my emotional agility and I worked that motherfucker to the point to where I walked away and I still made money and the customer walked away hella happy. That is the shit. If you ever do that, that's like hitting a halftime buzzer beater with 2 seconds left. Now, we typically have different class experiences. That's a high class. A class below that is when you win, but the other person loses. It's a win-lose. Now, if you're a selfish motherfucker and you don't give a shit about long game and integrity, then, and there's people out there who play the game like that too. Is all I care about is winning. I don't care about you winning or not. It's a dog-eat-dog world, so fuck it. Kick rocks. Now, over time, obviously you can see what that long game looks like way down the road in terms of relationships. At some point, you're going to run out of folks. But that's a win-lose engagement. And if you're moving fast enough trajectory, you can appear successful. Because boom, you take this rise because you're taking. Same with engaging. A win-lose is me towering over a person and saying, "Shut the fuck up, I beat your ass." Of course they're gonna be quiet most of the time. They're going to be quiet. They're going to tuck up under. They're going to be like, "Oh, shit, I'm sorry. It's cool." And I walk away. Now, in that engagement, I won, right? But the customer lost. The person lost. So guess what that person is building up now? Resentment. As a business person, over time, your long game reputation, it ain't going to be cool. Now, you won in the moment. The next is lose-win, where you gave up your shirt. Here, you can take it. You want this too? Here, take it. You want that? Here, take it. And a lot of times, if a person has a win-lose mentality, they love people like you. Y'all a match made in heaven. If this person is a win-lose and you a lose-win, let's just play this game until you got nothing. And then you'll feel like a martyr because you gave, and you gave everything you had, and you feel like Jesus, which is still a toxic and destructive way of thinking, especially as an entrepreneur. Now, how long do you think your business is going to last with that kind of thinking? So all the people who are like, "I don't want to talk about money," or when it comes to negotiation, "I don't want to talk about money," y'all got to work that out, your system. And the last one is lose-lose, which is another word for complete fucking waste of time. Why are y'all here? Why are we here? We both walking away from this losing? That's a lose-lose. So that's how you can determine the engagement. And so that's introspection. And I do that sometimes, like, damn, I just took this loss. It's too late to call a customer back. Or I just deboed the situation because I got triggered. And so that debo kicks in sometime. And then when you're in the entrepreneur space, we automatically are intimidating. I'm not intimidating to none of us in here because we deal with each other. No matter what rah-rah I get, ain't nobody going to be intimidated by me. But out there in the wild, as an entrepreneur, you rare in them spaces. So if you flex your chest, they calling the police. So at times it's important to understand. I think back and be like, man, I flexed a little bit because bro got to under my skin and I couldn't shake it. And I flexed and I might have fucked up that deal. And it happens sometimes. But like I said, if you're humble and you introspect, then you run the play in your head for the next time. All right, so okay, this happened. Like, we play dominoes and you got your ass whooped. You could trace back all the fucked up moves. You can. Oh, wait, damn, I shouldn't have played this because he had this. Oh, man, okay, I should have played this better. You can introspect so that next time you know how to play better. Same thing. Man, Chris Foster. Oh, yeah, Chris Foster. Our last Arizona trip, Chris Foster, bless his soul. He got smacked around, boy. Woo! Hitting dominoes. But you can introspect like that. Okay, man, he said this, and that's when it hit me. I felt it. I felt the heat coming up. It's a few things I could have done to pause it, stop it, take a deep breath. Let me ask you a question. Look at the big picture. All sorts of other things I could have did, but I didn't. So next time I'm gonna try this. That's it. I'm gonna try this next time. I'm gonna do this next time. What did I lose? Did I answer your question? All right.
We have some online questions. Will
Sure.
you take one of those? Okay. So Kaja asked, where or what's the emotionally agile midpoint? And she also says, aren't we supposed to examine, poke at, and challenge feedback to make sure it's sound?
No. Well, let's talk about the midpoint. The beauty of being emotionally agile, there is no midpoint. So think about it as you watch football and a wide receiver return. The series of that punt return from the 0 to the other side of the touchdown, that receiver is standing still. He's going slow. He's moving to the side. He's moving to the left. He's shuffling. He's running full speed. He's stopping. He's going to the right. He's nudging. He's pretty much doing everything on that field to get a touchdown. So there is no midpoint. It's you use it all. So in the moment, what do you need? In the moment. Nana is a master at this shit, honestly. So I was on a call with him today. And the lady starts complaining about us not texting her or responding to her emails, and she kept going. She said it, she said it again, and she said it again. So the first time she said it, he went into an explanation about what happened. It wasn't enough. She kept going about it. Obviously, he read her well enough. You know what he did next time? He said, we like you a lot. We really do. And her shoulders came down, and that was all she needed. That was all she needed. There wasn't even an explanation about it again. He just went straight to the triggering emotion as to what was triggering her. It wasn't about the texts. It's just she didn't feel liked. No, we like you a lot. No, just know this. We like you a lot. We really do. And it completely changed the energy. Did I read that well? Yeah. That's it. That's all that was needed. It wasn't, we busy, we got businesses, we got shit to do, which is all true. That's the shit that was going on in my mind. You know what I'm saying? That's the word swirling. You know what the fucking shit I got? It's crazy busy right now. The fact that I'm just fucking be happy, I'm here. Hey, you know what? We really like you. We really like you. Oh, well, that's great. Well, then let's go get lunch. Let's go get lunch sometime. Perfect, cool. That's emotional agility. It ain't about you being right, wrong, this, that. It's about what's the most effective thing to say. Once I learned this shit, man, it changed a lot for me. It changed so much for me, not just in business, but in personal life. Me and my daughter's mom wasn't the best of relationships. This helped tremendously in engaging with her, how we raise our daughter together, co-parent together, how we treat each other.
Hey, Court, did you notice that also in that response, is it just me, but does it seem like there's a defense undertone. Like, should she have to poke at the feedback as if she's protecting something, right? As opposed to showing up from a space of curiosity. Do you sense that, or is it just me?
No, it's real. And I was going to go there next, too, is that, Kaja, I would say this. This has came up 3 times about you and feedback. You need to make it a conscious effort and decision to accept, be grateful for, and love all feedback, all of it, no matter how it comes, no matter what form it comes. All feedback is a gift. All feedback is a gift. We talked about filtering feedback before. Fuck that shit. All feedback is good because there is a undertone of fear of not being good enough or being rejected or being wrong or being put in a bad class versus the good class. No. As entrepreneurs, there's no real grades. It's either you winning or you not. You successful or you not. And you use every situation to absorb every tool to make you better. Every single thing. No matter who gives it. There's so much beauty in feedback from people who don't like you. Because they going to give it to you raw. You can extract so much game from that. So embrace it. Emotional Agility is definitely a beautiful book for you to read. I wanna have a conversation with you, Kaja, after you get done reading this book and see if you feel the same way about feedback. Because as entrepreneurs, all of us, feedback from anybody can save or cost you or make you millions of dollars. What if somebody's feedback comes and it's from a person who clearly is a hater, clearly jealous of you, says all the jealous hater buzzwords. Oh, it's a nice little business you got going. Yeah, well, your little thing is popping. Well, your little thing. Okay, well, well, shit, if I was you, I'd do, man, you need to do when we won't. Well, this is, open your ears and listen. Because guess what? You extract a nugget from them that helped save you, and their intent was to maybe hurt your feelings, and it ended up being the best thing that could have happened to you. I want to thank you for that. Next time you see them, you say, man, I want to thank you for that interaction, your honesty. I appreciate it. Because my business went 2-3x after that. Oh, okay. Yeah, shit ain't little no more. Like, embrace it all. Embrace it all. Any more questions? Okay. Let's go to the next one.
Emotional rigidity, getting hooked by thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that don't serve us, is associated with a range of psychological ills, including depression and anxiety.
Cool. The challenging thing about being emotionally rigid is that the connotation of emotional rigidity is that you don't move. So if you're stuck in depression and you're emotionally rigid, it feels like you're going to die because you're not moving in that space. Last week we talked about the 4 years of me being stuck in that space, being broke for 4 years. That's because I was emotionally rigid. I was emotionally rigid. I was stuck on the me that got the bag the first time, how raw the me was that time. Why do I need to learn something else? So I kept running in place, being stuck with the same tools that I had that got me down in that depressed space. And I was stuck there. It wasn't until what I call is a death. You go through like a death almost. It's an abyss. A lot of us, some of us have been there, where you crash and burn and it feels like you're dying. The Bible talks about it, all kind of different spiritual teachers and stuff talk about it. You go through this death almost. And on the other side of that, if you can make it on the other side of that, you're almost a new person. So then in that death phase, that's when you start questioning everything, right? You question everything, your existence, who you are. Everything becomes a question. Because you realize nothing's worked this far, so now you're questioning everything. But you hear the key word? Question. And the person who asks the questions, what? Is in control. The minute you start questioning, now you're in control. It's hard to be depressed asking questions and getting answers. Oh, I just got a new answer. What if I ask another question? Oh, there's another answer. And you question and answer your way to a better situation. Emotional rigidity. Because you think, this is an entrepreneur class. Why are we talking about this shit? Because entrepreneurship does not work if you're not emotionally ready or are agile enough to handle it, period. Motherfuckers coming for you, all kind of everywhere. It's coming for you. We just got dragged on Twitter over the weekend. Courtsmith got dragged on Twitter like a motherfucker by black folks. Have you ever been dragged on Twitter? Have you ever been dragged virally on Twitter before? No, I haven't. This is some new shit. A kid, 2 years ago when the George Floyd thing was happening, our thing was, we just going to keep doing what we're doing in terms of building our business, but this is one of the things that we're going to do because Stephen Jackson took charge and moved in that movement, and that's a person I respect, honor, and we cool, we friends. So I'm like, all right, well, this is what I'll do. I'll make some commemorative basketballs with George Floyd's name on it, just so we can add to the don't forget their name situation. Beautiful, it was cool, lovely, people liked it, gave a lot away, during the fashion show gave some away, donated a lot to different organizations, doing good deeds, right? Saturday, this black boy posted on Twitter that I just snatched this ball away from this white boy and he has George Floyd's name on it. And the ball is black and blue. So I bet you that's some white people just digging down, being racist towards George Floyd. You put a basketball with George Floyd's name on it, so you bounce his name on the ground. You're just driving his name further in the ground, and the ball had blue stripes. The thin blue line, that means the police are behind this because it had blue stripes. And motherfucking Twitter went crazy. How dare you? How dare? Who is that? Let's find them. Let's do it. I'll beat the shit out of them. This is so racist. We can't do nothing. Going crazy. Till you get to the 100,000th person, and it was like, that's a black company. No. Yep, here's a screenshot. It's a black company. No. I just went to the website. Yep, it's some black folks. Oh, shit. And it got quiet. But if you are not emotionally agile, you know the wide roller coasters of emotion you're getting dragged by the people that you're doing shit for and that you care about so much. That's the way the game goes. Sometimes the things that you'll be well-intended in doing will seemingly backfire on you. Employees that you hired, that you bent over backwards for and done hella shit for and gave extra for, will forget all that shit and just be mad at you, angry at you, hate you for the little shit that you didn't do. As a parent, you raise kids, you feed them, you clothe them, you bathe them, you give them this and that and toys and Xboxes and games only to be not appreciated at all. And you in your feelings, you hella mad at them because they're not giving you the respect or honor you deserve. All that shit. A lot of times you will not get the props that you want in your mind. How do you handle that? You will go above and beyond for years for somebody and not get appreciated for it. How do you deal with that? We gotta be emotionally agile. We gotta have tools in our mind to be able to navigate emotionally through those things. If not, we'll be bitter, angry, we'll have a list, we'll have revenge ready, and all our bandwidth will be taxed all on bullshit like that. Can't sleep now. You got to take shit before bed. And now your vocabulary is bitter. Now you move with scarcity and fear, and you create these limiting beliefs that take you and your business down a road that's not profitable for you. Because now people are, this person is, this happens. See, that's why that's why these motherfuckers, that's why I don't do shit for these. That's why black folks you'll have all kind of that's whys in your head based on being emotionally, not being emotionally agile. Let's go to emotional agility.
Emotional agility. Being flexible with your thoughts and feelings so that you can respond optimally to everyday situations is key to well-being and success.
Man, you know how good you can sleep at night when you're emotionally agile? You can get a good 8. You can get a good 8. Not a choppy 8 or a 4, then a 1 hour wake up and back to 2 and then up and then searching on your Instagram and then fall asleep. No, you'll get a good deep 8 because everybody's forgiven. There's compassion for everybody. Everybody's good. There's no ill will. And in your mind, you're doing your best to navigate optimally. There's emotional agility there so that you're navigating. All you're doing is trying to be the best version of you could be, and you take responsibility for every situation, every engagement. What could I have done better? What could I have done better? How can I handle the situation? Now, I'm going to say some shit that might hurt some feelings, but this is the truth. For a lot of us, this emotional agility shit won't even be as effective because a lot of us move from a place of fear. We're scary. A lot of y'all are too scary anyway. Emotional agility comes not just on being on the nice side, but emotional agility also comes on the courage side too. Having the ability to fire somebody, tell somebody no, tell them that shit sucks, tell them they got to do it over, saying it's not good enough, saying nope, saying get the fuck out my face, saying shut the fuck up, saying all those things, not saying that that's your movement, but if you don't have the whole rainbow, then you're not emotional agile in the first place. You just move on one half of the scale in a scary place, and that's called passive aggressive. Meaning you have to have the ability to do the most effective thing in the moment. So sometimes the most effective thing in the moment is to say, no. That's not going to work. Let me stop you right there. We're not going to do that. So understand that's the full rainbow. That's the full spectrum of emotional agility. If you don't have the courage to play on that other side, entrepreneurship is going to be tough anyway.
It's kind of maybe tied into the previous question a while back. How do you balance that emotional agility? So for me, I've been in management levels in the corporate world, and now I'm running my own business, and I have certain set of standards. And I feel as though I've kind of hindered the growth of my business in certain aspects because of the standard that I have. I'll fire you quick. I'll tell you going quick. Like, I have certain benchmarks because I'm protective over the business. And so for me, it's hard for me to hire contract photographers and other people to do media-related work for me because I have this standard that my customers have gotten used to. And so because of that, if you're not meeting that standard a couple of times, I got to let you go. But because of that, my business doesn't grow because then I'm doing most of the work. So how do you find that soft spot to where you're able to nurture somebody in that growth and in there meeting that standard, but not losing your business standard as well?
Okay, that's a good question. So the first piece is understanding this. You have a solution, right? A goal in mind of where you want to be. And that's a scale your business or grow your business. So the scenario that you gave me is one algebraic equation. It's just one equation. It means A plus B equals C minus B minus C equals a solution. Meaning if I have this standard, I need these levels of people in order to meet this standard so that I can get this output. So if these people can't meet the standard, I fire them because they're not meeting up to my standards. But then I have to insert myself in here and work it so my business can't grow. The first thing is understand that's only one equation of 40 different. So the idea is to find the other equations that can make it work. That one obviously has limitations, right? It has limitations, meaning there's only 24 hours a day, there's only one you. So there has to be other solutions that you can sit there and brainstorm to say, what else can I do? What are my other options? What are my other options? What are variables and what are constants? Which means what things can't move and what things can move around. If your standard, start with your standard. So what is that standard? Who said it? Remember, person asking the questions is in control. What's the standard? Who said it? What's the feedback I got from my customers? Who's saying that that's the standard? Are my customers saying it? If I tweak the standard and go up or down, what happens? Do you know that? That's the Sherlock Holmes you got to put on, because maybe your standard is an A++, and you hold dear to that standard, and that's the fabric of your company. But maybe your customers won't see a shit difference if you do an A. And maybe you just fired an A. Or you have a B+ person that you might want to spend more energy. Maybe if you spent the energy you would have used to insert yourself into training that B+ person to become an A, now that person can run. And now you can look for another one, but you got bandwidth. So there's other variables to do or to have or to grow or to expect, but you just got to think outside of this box, right? So now that's in your comfort zone, and that is a common one. It's common, so it's not like it's different, because I can easily get caught in that too. I easily get caught in that. Let me design it myself. But just know that while you're in this space, in this rhythm, there's hella other equations out there that are better solutions. That's more of a win-win. You know what I'm saying? It's more getting creative, brainstorming. I had the same thing. I think when I first walked in and met Nana, we talked about it. I'm designing everything. Why? Because I'm raw. Ain't nobody rawer than me. Nah. That's not how you scale your business. Find somebody who's a 80% version of you, and give them some sauce. And then now that person is a B+. B+s are good. Because the reason why B+s are good, you have all your bandwidth to go scale, grow. You feel what I'm saying?
Core, give them the Roy Sutherland, the train theory with the models as opposed to redesigning. You know the story about Roy Sutherland consulting the train system about improving the train system because the wait was too long, and we're going to spend all that money on rebuilding the system, and instead they understood the emotional. Okay, so in England, they were going to spend $3 billion to redesign the train system in England. And what happened was Roy Sutherland suggested that instead of you going after the goal of changing the amount of time that it takes for the train to arrive, why don't you shift the emotional relationship to time? So if you brought in beautiful high-end models and they served the people food and drinks, then all of a sudden you had fast internet speed, then that time would just almost wither away because the perception changed. And so a lot of times when we're doing business with a customer, we get too hard connected to the output of products and services, and we don't pay attention to the emotional relationships. And so, like, why are people hiring you to do photography? What do they feel when they receive those photos? What are they trying to achieve when they interact with their customers? And so really, if you can control that emotional space, that gives you room to have a 10% drop in quality, and the customer can never sense it because they actually had a 10% increase in emotional experience.
Absolutely. That's a great one. I remember when I first started, I had built up this reputation, right? Designing uniforms. So coaches was like, Court, I want you to design my shit. So first part of my ego was like, okay, yeah, that's cool. They only want me to design it. But I had hired a designer to take over that part of my business. So then I'm thinking, damn, nobody wants to use my designer. So what I start doing was I start saying, yeah, I'm gonna work on it with you. But I'm gonna work on it. Me and my designer. He's one of the best in the game. So you're so special. We're gonna work on it together and make sure you get the dopest shit. So then dropping his name that me and him were working on it together. Over time, they knew who he was. So then I would just let Martin design it by himself, even though the customer thought that me and Martin was working on it together. And then I say, hey, what do you think about it? And they're like, oh, man, this is dope. I'm like, Martin did this by himself. So they already committed to it, and they already agreed that it was dope. But now they like, all right, their cognitive dissonance kicked in. So now Martin is that guy. So I got to creep away from being that guy because that was the best move to make to give me bandwidth to build more aspects and scale out our business. So now I work 100% on the brand partnership side, and Martin is that guy. And now people they forgot about me as a uniform designer. Martin. Good, because that way I can continue to grow other aspects of the business. So you have to figure out other ways, but it starts with understanding your customers and really understanding what is it that they come to you for. Why do they love you? It may have zero to do with your standards, and just because they like you. I just fuck with you. You a cool ass brother. Like I don't care as long as it's like a 7 or above. I'm rocking with you. I know it's gonna be good. But those points that you're specific on, that's what emotional agility is. It's questioning everything, including that. Because in my brain, there's a certain standard that has to be done with my uniforms. They have to have this and that, the other thing. And I spent time giving my guy all my sauce. Here's my blueprint. Here's my sauce. Here's my rules of making the designs dope. Follow them. But over time, he took those rules and flipped them and made them even better. Some shit he designed is crazy. Better than I could do. So don't just toss away. That's being rigid. You're fired. That's old school and work shit. I've been in situations where I've came to this brother Nana and was like, man, this dude is irritating. This dude, I can't, I gotta fire this motherfucker. I can't handle it no more. Fuck it, I'm firing him. And he's like, well, do you have anybody to replace him yet? No. So what's the impact on firing him to your business? Is it small, medium, or large? Fucking medium. Well, don't fire the motherfucker. Hold on to him till you get another person. Then fire him. That's the best move. The egoic move is to be like, you fired. But now you ain't got nobody in that space. So what's better, to have a B in a space or nothing at all? Because you taking over that position is not helping your business, you're hurting it. It's the truth. Because now you just slowed up your growth and your progress, and you maybe missed out on the big thing, the thing that could take you to the next level, because now you're back over there designing or taking photos. So I can write shit. I didn't been you so many times. Fortunately, I've had people to help me out. Yeah.
Could you talk a bit about how scaling or growth, entering into a new echelon, might encourage you to re-examine some of the standards you set for your business or your work? How do new kind of focuses or foci emerge out of a new echelon?
That question is beautiful, because this is what I'm going through now. Is this new part of my business is completely new. So I don't know what the fuck I'm doing half the time. I don't. And so first of all is I have to stop caring how I look, how polished I look, how put together I look, how to the outside world. I don't give a shit. I'm in a figure it out mode right now. How can I get better every time? How can I improve every time? How can I grow every time? How can you be observant to your surroundings? And your feedback loop has to be incredible, meaning you have to be constantly seeking feedback from everybody. The good, the bad, the people who you think don't like you, everybody. Because that way, the more feedback you have, the more rapid you can get to a place where you're functioning at a high level, to where you're performing at a high level. So understand that's the challenging piece of being an entrepreneur. You are a pioneer in a sense. You're forging a new way, a new platform. So you may have a plan in your head of how to get to a path, but you're chopping down trees, you're chopping down leaves, you're chopping through. And if you encounter an animal that you didn't expect, then you have to be agile enough to get over it, to get through it, to kill it, to bypass it, to flee from it, whatever. But you can't be so rigid. You can't be stuck in your ways in those moments, especially when it comes to new business. Because what it'll do is you'll be stuck. Think about this in terms of martial arts. So prior to MMA, martial arts were so segmented, and they were in their boxes, right? You had karate over here, you had jiu-jitsu over here, you had ninjutsu, you had kempo, you had all these different forms of defending yourself. And there was no real way to prove anything. To prove which one was superior or not. All you could do was watch movies and see how dope it was, the movements, and acrobatic it was. So you based which one was the best based on how fresh it looked on camera. That's how we moved. All the way up until 1996, where on the big stage they said everybody bring from different genres of self-defense. Come on. All sizes, ages, disciplines, and we're going to see who's the best. So, guess which one won? the one that was most agile. The one that was most agile. If your discipline was just about kicking people, you were fucked. If your discipline was just about punching people, you're fucked. Jiu-jitsu allowed you to fight on your back, on your side, standing up, grappling. All you need to do was touch all that person needed to do was touch you, and it was fucking over. Now, over time, so Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu won every time. And there were no size limits. You could be 300 pounds fighting a 155-pound Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, and he will fuck you up. Why? Because it's the equivalent of being the most emotionally agile. All you need to do is just touch him, and he wrap you up like a snake and pop your arm out your socket. It's over. Choke you up. Anything. Oh, you on your back up. You think you got me? I'm at my best when I'm on my back. So, as entrepreneurs, you want to be the equivalent, and it's hard to do if you don't have your emotions under management. Let me get back on this. My iPad had to restart. Hold on, let me get this back cracking. All right. Did that answer your question? Okay. All right. So let's go to the next slide. You can read it, and then we can talk about it while I'm getting this together.
Between stimulus and response is a space. He wrote, in that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom.
All right. What a slide. So, this is one of the things that is taught in Buddhism, in meditation. This isn't a scientific statement. This was science taking from my world, right? Between stimulus and response, there is a space. So understand this. Emotional agility is exactly this, is between stimulus, meaning you are inward, and response, what you do about it, there's a space. And the goal is to, over time, broaden and widen that space to give you time to respond in the most optimal way possible. That's the job. That's the mission. So you're always monitoring how much space you have in a situation. So in that introspective moment, that post-mortem that you're giving yourself after an event, you're like, fuck. I went from 0 to 100. That 0 to 100 shit has to die. That's some elementary basic shit. You weak-minded if you is always at 0 to 100. That means you haven't managed yourself enough to find a better response than force or flash. If you always punching somebody or still fighting or still, you're in a slow class for real. That means you don't use your intelligence or game enough to be able to manage a situation without forcing yourself to go there. If you're in a relationship and you go to yelling and screaming immediately or arguing all the time, that means you in a slow class. You ain't ready for this entrepreneur shit. Because this is the icing. This is the tip of the iceberg. This is so small in comparison to shit that you're going to have to go through. Think about it. Think about your income level right now. Everybody got the number in their head? Okay. Now, think about your emotional level, the space between stimulus and response for you. How wide is it? Be honest with yourself. Is it an inch? Is it a centimeter? Is it a fucking quarter of a centimeter? Is it a 0.2 millimeters? Is it, how wide is it? How able are you to navigate in emotional, tense, stressful conversations and still come up with the optimal solution? Now, wherever you are emotionally, imagine that's where you are financially, because it's a reflection of where you are financially. Now, we all want bigger bags, right? We want millions. We want hundreds of thousands, millions, maybe multi-millions. The bigger the bag, the more shit that you have to deal with. So that bag gets bigger, but there's issues and problems and all kind of things that you have to solve that comes with that. So if you're at your limit now, how can you expect to manage that money but not the emotional shit that comes with it? It's true. So if you want to practice managing a big bag, practice managing tension, more drama, more. If you always at your wits' end now, then don't do it. Don't want more money. Don't. Because all that's going to do is stress you the fuck out even more because you're unable to handle it. Yep. Oh, she got the granny walk. Sorry, I had to fuck with you.
It's all good. I need somebody to come fix me.
I gave you some Shaquille O'Neal Icy Hot.
Yeah, this class is sponsored by Icy Hot.
She got some glued to her back. Man, it's hard out here for a 20-year-old.
It's real in these streets, man. I'm trying to make sure I don't break my back sitting down. Shit. It's bullshit. Shout out to Nana for all the old jokes they finally kicking in. No, my question was, though, do you think that that's the biggest difference between, like, young businesses and, like, when businesses make the transition to scale? Is, like, the ability to eagerly go after more problems?
Well, it's not eagerly going after the problems. It's when the problems occur.
Or maybe embracing,
the
idea of problems.
It's how many tools do you have in your bag and how well can you use them? It's how big is your toolbox to manage and handle them. The goal is problems can be some of your best allies in some situations. A problem is like a problem is only a problem because of the observer calling it a problem. It's really an opportunity to scale, grow, improve, learn, make money, all kind of shit. Man, I remember it in high school. This is probably not a good analogy. Never mind. I just look at in Sun Tzu. There's certain times when the book Art of War, he says, "Don't kill the enemy." Don't kill the enemy. I forget which chapter. Why? Because in certain situations, you not killing the king of the other territory that you're conquering, that king can be your best assistant. He'll serve you well, and he'll be super loyal to you. for a lifetime because A, you preserved his life. So there's times not to kill the opposing king. So you just turn a problem into a major addition to what you're trying to do, a major one. So yes, that to long answer your question, yes, that is the difference. Because it goes back to our psychology and our biology. We have certain biological limits. You guys know that there's certain things that your body starts to do when your stress levels get extremely high. Right? Your back goes out. They say, I carry my stress in everybody has certain areas. Some shit happens to you. You just start doing little shit. Some people, they carry it in their back, and their back straight goes out when their stress gets too high. You know what happens to me? This left eye just starts moving around, fucking twitching, right? I know that's like my little signal, like, all right, I need to take a break because this eye starts twitching. Everybody has something. That's your body telling you, I'm at my peak. I can't handle no more. Because what's beyond that? Bigger shit, strokes, heart attacks, all kind of shit, like. Because your body is at its limit. And it's at its limit with where you are financially right now. You know what bypasses that? Emotional agility. That's how you bypass it. You start developing and growing and improving your emotional agility. So what was a big deal to you and that caused you super amounts of stress where you almost had a fucking breakdown is not a big deal no more. So that's telling your body, your mind, your spirit that give me more, I can handle it.
Outside of like really not just identifying, but like digging in and grounding yourself in your purpose, like how do you like fight your ego? So like just like try to make it a quick story. I'm a hella poor New York kid. I mean, hella poor, like one of 9, crackhead mom, hella poor. I never in my wildest dreams thought my company could do $250,000. So for me, like I be waking up humble as fuck, like, oh shit, like I never in my wildest dreams thought I'd be here. And so then I'd be like, I'm cool, like my ego says I can stop growing, I can stop changing, I can stop helping people, I can just, kind of coast and float. But then like my purpose is all like, no, you got to keep going. You can't get comfortable. You got to keep helping people. You got to put your own wants and needs on the backside and keep doing what you're supposed to do. But like, I think like what happened, like I was so grounded to the idea of escaping this bad situation that now that I escaped and I have found some purpose into what I do and impact, it's challenging sometimes for me to get out of my own way because I feel like I'm cool because I achieved my initial goal. But now I know I have to do something bigger, but I don't always know how to check myself because I know that I get comfortable or scared because I'm like, well, I'm already doing better than I ever thought, so I could just chill out. How would you address that?
So that's a perfect story of when we talked about motivation earlier. That's how motivation dries up once you achieve your goal. The first thing that I'll tell you, Nana told me this too, is at a certain point, you got to stop telling that story. At a certain point, you got to detach yourself from that story because you're not a poor kid no more. You ain't. You ain't a poor kid now. So at a certain time, that story can serve as motivation for you to get the fuck out. But now what you're telling me is that story is not serving me anymore. It's actually keeping me still. It has me stuck. So the only way to grow is to stop telling that story. Release it. Release it. It doesn't mean that it doesn't exist and it didn't happen, but it means for a trial period, you got to let go of that story. Maybe at 10 million, you bring it back. The crowd goes crazy then. You did what? You from where? Say you had 100 million. Now the capacity of that story is incredible. It serves to inspire all the little girls from New York, the little Shakinas and Cardi B's, that they can do it too. There's two ways to make it out of the Bronx, out of the hood, wherever you're in New York, because it's harsh out there. There's two ways to make it out, and you made it out building a business, fitness. Now that story's incredible. Right now, it's not serving you. You gotta let it go. It's holding you back because at a certain point, your brain is saying, "That's a lot." It's saying it just like that. We did good. Shit, I want to rest. We did good. We did damn good. So where do you find motivation in it anymore? You can't. It's not this. You squeezed it all up. You can take care of a lot of folks. So now at the next level, it's purpose game, and it sounds like your purpose is not strong yet. You got to find a strong purpose. And to where you're so passionate about it, you're passionate about your purpose that it's a never-ending journey. There's not no amount of money that can fill it and make you satisfied. Because the more the money, the more people you can help with your purpose.
Can we stay? I think I want to double down on what you just said because I think somebody just heard you and they kind of put it together as one stream. And I don't think they heard how powerful that solution you just gave them. He just said, there's a purpose void in our community. It's a crisis. And when we don't have purpose, we feel that void with other things that are toxic and self-destructive. And often purpose pushes you past your own stories and your own limitations. So yes, like without my purpose, I'm not me. I'm really not me. I might be Hugh Hefner, but I'm not me, because I wouldn't be shit, right? I wouldn't have no reason to push myself past my immediate gratification of my youth or the stages I am in my life, right? And I think people missed, like, I don't think you guys understand, like, you guys are being robbed of purpose in this current culture with pop culture and, it's all about me, individualism, and fuck the world, and everybody's hating on me because I'm just doing me. All those type of undertones is robbing you of a quality of life as well. And I think you guys, like when he said purpose, I don't want you guys to just hear what he just said as just it's a run-on sentence. That purpose thing is not a light solution. It's almost like it's actually the solution. The solution. And when I say purpose, why are you here? What are you here to live for? We're not here to rob the earth and then die. We're here to plant seeds for the next generation. And if you're not putting your work in, ultimately you're almost, if you guys believe in God, you shitting on God's gift. And so purpose, human beings need purpose like your body needs food. When you remove the purpose from a human being, we are dangerous as animals. So I just wanted to double down on what he just said on purpose. Like, that shit's fire. And I don't want you guys to listen to that as if he just, Court drops a lot of heavy stuff. And I don't, it's not really heavy to Court because it's our norm. It's his fuel. It's heavy to a lot of outsiders, and we recognize how heavy it is to you guys. But when you in this game, Court is a walking purpose. He's here tonight because of his purpose, right? He ain't here because Cardi B's are all in the audience. He's here because he's here to help his people. And so this man is scaling right now. He's opening up new parts of his business that has major potential growth. He spent almost a 16 to 20-hour workday yesterday, and he's here fully committed with slides. That's the purpose got him here. That's it. And I don't think you guys are missing that. So purpose gets you to push past that point. Purpose pushes you to okay. Entrepreneurs are not about instruction booklets. We're not going to ever give you. No one's going to ever give you a instruction booklet for your business. Running your business is not having a job where they give you orientation. This is what we expect of you. This is what you got to do. These are the procedures. These are the practices, and this is the outcome. When you become like this, I talked about this earlier today with Court. Lady said to me, "No, as an entrepreneur, I'm professional." And my response to her is, "What the fuck is professional?" You said, "What do you mean?" Professional is what we create as entrepreneurs. Professional, as you know it, is what corporations created, those entrepreneurs created. When you become an entrepreneur and you figure out who you're trying to serve, you define your form of communication and engagement to serve those customers. That's your form of professionalism. You define every procedure that is necessary for your business. You don't copy and paste anybody's procedure blindly. So with that being said, quite often that means you're going to have to walk into a space of uncertainty, which is so fucking uncomfortable. And without purpose, I promise you're going to avoid those spaces. You're always looking for somebody to pull you up and help you out and look out for you and give you a solution, when really an entrepreneur at he or she's very core, their very core, is walking into a space of uncertainty and figuring shit out. Mm-hmm. Purpose.
That's real. That's real. That's why a lot of times high-level entrepreneurs have to be start distancing themselves from the regular population, because their wording, their way of thinking, even how they structure their words and sentences seem harsh, because you have to develop skill sets at almost every level. And that gives you it gives you a certain hue that sometimes may be a little intense for people who are in the professional ranks. Entrepreneurship requires so much out of you. And if you're not purpose-driven, it's easy to quit. It's easy to quit. And quitting could be okay. And deciding that my business is only going to be so big is okay too. Like emotionally, if you know yourself well enough, you may not want to play a bigger game. 250 may be the target, and that could be that could be your target, and you can continue to grow and scale and improve and increase the quality and continue to grow that 250. But know that you want to run this business, and you're not equipped emotionally yet to grow it. So as you're growing your business, you got to grow your emotional agility at the same time. You can't grow one without the other. Because if you do, and you happen to hit a hype cycle, then it's a fast way to crash and burn bridges too.
I had a question about you mentioned earlier that you're starting something in your business that you don't have any experience in, or you're offering a new service or something to that nature. And I was watching a video last night about my business, about like drone mapping and photogrammetry and all that kind of stuff. And the gentleman was saying, hey, don't bite off too much because you might sink. So when you decided to, go and expand your business into something that you weren't familiar with, what was your mindset to be able to say, okay, I'm going to branch off and open the door to this, which I don't really know, while still maintaining this over here? Not so much like an instruction from you, but like, how did you prepare your mind to be able to open that door and still, hold your standard over here, do what you got to do over here, but open this door as well?
Just having a tinkering kind of mindset is I'm always playing with ideas in my head. My goal is to grow. My goal is to grow and expand. So what ended up happening is I started my business with basically two segments of my business, but one got fat early, and one was kind of medium, slim thick. One was slim thick, and one was fat early. So of course, mentally, logically, you spend your energy on what's generating the most revenue for you. You spend most of your energy, and so that's what I did. Grew that side of the business. Well, COVID hit. This side of the business went to zero. So I've always been kind of tinkering with those ideas, and that has always been sort of the foundation or part of the purpose of my company anyway. So it came with a tinkering, breaking the rules. Like, one thing that I stray away from is taking hardcore advice from anybody, because they ain't done it. And if they have done it, they haven't done it with this platform yet. So I take ideas as, okay, yep, I'm gonna throw that in the mix, in the pot, and swirl it around the pot, but I don't follow nobody's shit. Because that's their formula, and that formula worked for them. And what they say, what they're hardcore against, may be your biggest gift and biggest skill set.
Double down on that some more. That's fire. Yeah. Double down on that.
Yeah. So just remember that, because we talked about earlier the formula shit, and that formula that you gave about about the reason why you can't scale is because you're standard, and that's their algebraic equation. So they're trying to get to 4, and they're saying 2 + 2 = 4. Period. It's because they only got 2 2s in their hand. So how the fuck can they say anything else when they only got 2 2s in their hand? And you got a 1, you got a 3, you got a half, you got a 0.2, you got a 0.7. You got so many options because you were born different. So they say, hey, never use no 0.7s, because that shit, it just makes it messy at the end.
Fire.
And all you got is 0.7s. All you got is 0.2s. But now you got way more to play with than him. So fuck what he talking about in that particular situation. But you can get an overall sense of what he's talking about in some overall game. But I don't move like that. As an entrepreneur, our goal is to be black swans.
Fire.
So as a black swan, it ain't invented yet. It's not written yet. And if somebody has the ability to say it in a seminar or a video, it's already diluted anyway. The game is up. It's over. The jokes is up. Somebody got it. Means it's diluted. Anytime somebody starts selling you game on a video, that's when I knew Forex and Bitcoin and all that shit. Anytime somebody wants to start teaching you how to make money doing that, the game is sold, and now they're trying to make money off teaching suckers how to make money in an already diluted game.
Real fire.
So I take it as a grain, you know what I'm saying? I take it with a grain of salt, but tinker, try it. That's the beauty, it's your business. You ain't gotta ask nobody for no permission to do shit. That's the beauty of the shit. And if it fails, just sweep that shit sweep that shit in the garbage and throw it away, and then tomorrow's a new day. Motherfuckers don't know all the shit that's fake. CoreSmith has caught so many L's. There's so many designs that are in the graveyard that never popped, or just shit inventory sitting that nobody fucked with. Come on. That shit is not about winning. It's about tinkering, trying new shit, expanding, playing. It's your business, bro. You got an idea in your head, do all the research you can. That's cool, but then do that shit. And do it and go hard and figure out ways and change and tinker it. And then now just know, be observant. Oh, you got 1. All right, cool. I got 1. Now let me put my all into this 1 and see how it works. Oh, this is where I fucked up. This is where I did good. Let me clean it up. Oh, the second one coming. Let me try to do a better job on the second one I did the first. And it's just a constant growth from that. Now, will one be mad at me forever because I fucked up because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing? Maybe. Maybe. I didn't do it intentionally. I did my best work. But now I'm at number 10 and now I'm moving. And because I'm moving in the way I'm moving, I attract 20 more. So that's how the game goes.
Also, can you add this to it? Two things. One, we want to believe that learning, okay, there's a phrase that says learning should be hard. You should automatically say, if I'm learning, it should be hard. If you believe it should be easy and it becomes hard, you think something's wrong with you. Okay, when you're doing something new, you don't know what you're doing. So that means you have to walk into a path of uncertainty, and it's going to be hard. That's the game you're playing for the rest of your life if you be an entrepreneur. There's no such thing as coasting. To survive, you have to learn something new every day. And it's going to be hard every day. And you're going to be uncertain all the time. And you're going to be trying new shit all the time you've never did before. You're going to realize you have to get rid of the word experts because you will become an expert every day. It's like there's no such thing as your past qualifications mean nothing. Your past qualifications mean nothing. It's about your intellectual rigor and your ability to learn. If you don't have that in you, then and you got to have like I was talking about to Neil earlier. You got to run through that wall sometime, and then when you go on the other side, you go, okay, I got to figure this shit out. But you can't. A lot of times, planning and preparation is procrastination and fear. And so, unfortunately, that's why I love entrepreneurs. The boldness and the aggressiveness that's necessary for success is part of the game. And so we don't talk safety. We talk risk.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I look crazy right now at my office. I know I do. So what? Because I'm trying to figure it out. Coming in early, staying late, work. See, working hella hours is not a badge of honor. It means you're in a slow class. It is. It means you're in a slow class. So I know that. I embrace that. My goal is I'm investing that time in the slow class until I learn and get better. Jim Rohn says it. But don't go looking this dude up because he has a lot of like self-help. But he says something dope, and that is, when you first starting out doing something, a lot of times you have to make up in time what you don't have in skill until what you can make up in skill reduces your time. So you start out in the game, of course you don't have the skill that the person next to you has. So if you're in sales and you got to make 100 calls to get one lead, to get 2 leads and then get 1 sale, and the person next to you only got to make 15 calls, the competitor in me I ain't gonna take no loss like that. If he's getting 5 sales a day, then I'll just stay later. I'll just make more fucking calls. But guess what making more calls do? I end up getting more skill, acquiring better skill. And over time, it's not 100 no more, it's 50. And then it's not 50 no more, it's 20. Then it's not 20 no more, it's 10. Now I don't gotta stay late no more. I can achieve my same goal with a short amount of time and be out of there. But at the beginning, that's the groundwork you gotta lay for yourself. So right now, all over the fucking place. It's the groundwork I'm laying for myself to build the proper process in order to manage this effectively. I don't want to drop no balls, so I got to make it up in time. But it's your business. And then you build the process. Everything you do in business at a certain point, once you build the best process, you make it repeatable that you can hand to somebody so that you can continue to bounce around and scale and build out your business. Let's go next slide.
Emotionally agile people are dynamic. They demonstrate flexibility in dealing with our fast-changing, complex world. They are able to tolerate high levels of stress and to endure setbacks while remaining engaged, open, and receptive. They understand that life isn't always easy, but they continue to act according to their most cherished values and pursue their biggest long-term goals.
My daughter says to me one day, we're in the car, and she said, "When we were at home, you had a big piece of pie, and I had a little piece. How come I didn't get the same size piece you got? That's not fair." And I noticed she's been saying that a lot recently. That's not fair. That's not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair. That's not fair. So I said, "Baby, who told you life was fair?" I'm asking you as a question. Where'd you get that life is supposed to be fair? Who said life is supposed to be fair? She was like, I don't know. I said, life is never supposed to be fair. Life ain't fair. And she was like, oh, like, yeah. Once you get comfortable with life not being fair, your life can get better and easy and funner, and you can enjoy it more. Because now you're not expecting fairness. She's like, she loves her mom. I said, you got the best mom in the whole world, right? Yes, I got the best mom in the whole world. Well, that's not fair to that girl who got the worst mom in the whole world. Why don't you share her with her? No, that's not fair. It's not fair for you to have the best mom and that little girl to have a shitty mom. But that's my mom. So is life fair? No. Well, then move accordingly then. Once we're emotionally agile, we ain't tripping off none of this shit. We know life ain't fair. We know shit's going to pop off. Shit happens. There's going to be struggles, things that happen. If you move with the energy to where anything like that happens, you're going to jump into a space of what's my solution? Shit happens. Man, life gets so much easier because it is what it is. Shit, it is what it is. Man, I walked out of one class a couple weeks ago with a fucking flat tire. And me and Nana sat there in the fucking front of waiting for AAA till 2 o'clock in the motherfucking morning. After a 12, 13-hour day of work, then a class teaching. We sat there and chopped it up. Why? Because shit happens. Fuck it. Life ain't fucking fair. But you know what was good? You know what's great about that statement? Life ain't fair, which means you have major advantages. You have major advantages and major privilege that other people can't access. Out of the 8 billion people on this planet, you know, what is it, like 5 billion don't have running water? Life ain't fair. There's another 7 billion people who are below the poverty line. Below the poverty line. Life ain't fair. You ain't. You doing all right. Most of the world don't have access to quality water, food, shelter, any of that shit. Life ain't fair. So we want to talk for real, like we want to talk fairness of life. We have every reason in the world to be emotionally agile. This ain't a how can I get a job class. This ain't a how can I just get some work class. This ain't how can I get some spare extra money to survive class. This is an entrepreneur class. That means you guys all have a certain level of intelligence beyond just survival. That means you're ready, you want, ready, have already, or willing to take the next step because you want a bigger bag. You know, 95% of people can't even play the game that you're playing right now. Period. You know, only 90% of the people don't read after like fucking high school. And only 10% of the people who buy books read past the first chapter. That's a statistic. So y'all are automatically playing in a space of unfairness. You got privilege. But when you're emotionally agile, you're very conscious of all the spaces where your privilege is present. Your compassion is high. You're looking for solutions at all times. Emotional agility will also tell you, right now is not the time to give solution. This person just wants to be heard. This person just wants to make sure that she's liked. That was dope as fuck, by the way. She just wants to feel liked. How do you how well do you have to read a person to cut through all of that to say, she just wants to feel liked? Hey, I like you. And you can see the person's shoulders drop. Oh, shit, that's all I needed. That's emotional agility. Defensiveness says, but I'm busy. I'm doing my best. We don't have the luxury as entrepreneurs to be in that space ever. You know, the last time in a defense I said, but I'm working so hard, was like 10 years ago. Because once you decide to be an entrepreneur, that statement, you can't use it no more. Give a fuck. Work better, motherfucker. But I'm trying so hard. That you don't have that luxury. That takes emotional agility for you to not only for that statement not to come up to the bottom of your neck for you to say it, but for you to not even think it. It takes some strength to be able to do that shit, especially when you got a family and you're trying to build and trying to keep your family together and food on the table and all this shit, and you navigating and juggling, and maybe you solo, maybe you by yourself. Maybe you don't have a partner, and maybe you raising a child by yourself and a business and trying to keep your own shit together and have a personal life and be conscious and all this shit, and things seem like they falling apart, or you got somebody testing you, or something didn't go right, or you got negative feedback. But I'm working so hard. I'm doing my best. We don't get say that to the wall. Emotional agility says, take a deep breath. What can I do to get better? What's a solution? What's another equation? Let's assume that algebraic equation that I've been saying doesn't exist anymore. Just say that doesn't even exist. What other math can I put together to make this work? That's emotional agility. It ain't gonna be easy. Man, this past month, oh my God, it's been tough as fuck. Emotionally for me, mentally, physically, it's draining as fuck. And the last thing, and then I gotta remember these fucking glasses and shit that I just start wearing, and I get headaches if I don't wear them, and now I got extra shit to remember. I guess just some extra more shit. But guess what? Nobody gives a fuck. This is what you chose, motherfucker. Figure it out. Figure it out. So I notice if I start being snappy, I go to this side. I start being snappy, short, rude, quiet. I don't give a fuck. Shut the fuck up. Leave me alone. Get to the fucking point. I got shit to do. I'm hella busy. Don't got time. They didn't ask for that. Turn that back down. Let's be emotionally agile because the tension is getting to you. Next slide.
They still experience feelings like anger and sadness. Who doesn't? But they face these with curiosity, self-compassion, and acceptance.
Okay, beautiful. So emotionally agile people, it's not like they don't feel any of the feelings. They feel the feelings. They feel all of them. They feel all of them. But the introspection is a motherfucker. Like the ability to introspect and the ideal of being progressive and improving and growing, that's the difference maker. The space between stimulus and response. As you widen that space, this allows you to still feel the feeling of anger. But you can ask yourself questions. What does this mean? Why did I get angry? Is that, it ends up pointing back at me. Oh, that's because I don't feel good enough. Oh, it's because my self-esteem is low. Because, oh, I haven't forgiven myself and I have a sense of guilt and I'm defending this. So it's not even about this person. So now it's like, hey, thank you for this. Like, emotionally agile people still feel the feelings. It's their ability to maneuver in between that space between stimulus and response to come up with the most effective answer. So a lot of times you don't even know that they wanted to slap the shit out you. They may just smile and be like, yep, I can understand that. What will make you say that? Well, give me a reason. Well, why don't you like my product? Why do you think my shit sucks? Okay, well, you say you're never coming back, and I apologize for the service or product or whatever. But what can you give me one thing that I can do better for the next person? At CourseMan, that's our challenge. It says we don't just want like if a customer's not happy, we don't want to just resolve the situation. How can we make the customer happier while we still win? What can we do to make that customer walk away happy, but we still won? Now, if we fucked up, that's different. That's different. You got to take those losses. When you made a mistake, you got to take those losses. But if in a customer service situation, how can we make the customer happier? Emotionally, you have to be emotionally agile. One of my old employees in sales one time, a customer bypassed him and called me, right? Wanted to speak to his manager. This is normal, cool, laid back guy. But the fact that the guy asked him to speak to his manager and he called me and of course, when you speak to the manager, you're going to exaggerate the shit that happened just so you get a better result, right? So he laid into how shitty this person was as a salesperson and what he did and what he didn't do. And the guy was like, I'm in sales too. So I know the game, and this is how he behaved, and he this and that, the other, blah, 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 and gave it to me. So I went to go talk to him, and he's like, he's lying on me. He's lying on me. And he was so triggered by being lied on that he tried to sabotage the whole relationship with the client. And I'm like, nope, you're not going to do that. You and your feelings. This is a customer. This ain't real. This ain't even your real life. When you walk out of the office, you go home, this shit don't even exist in real life. This is a customer. Let's play this game and see what we can do. So I called the customer back. I'm like, look, I'm going to be your guy from now on. I'll take care of you. I apologize for him. We'll do a better job. This is not typically how we handle business, but this is what I'm going to do for you to fix the situation. This brother has shot us so much business since then. 3x, 4x what he spent. Not only did we resolve the relationship, but what he spent and the customers he referred us to has been 3-4x with that initial deal. Thank God for that book, Emotional Agility. Because before that, I probably would have handled it the same way he did. So you feel the feelings. You almost feel, this is the realest shit, that you have a superpower. This becomes your superpower. You're not riled up by shit no more. You ain't tripping off shit no more. Whatever. It's all a game now. Oh, he's in his feelings. Oh, she's throwing a temper tantrum. Let me practice my skill set in bringing this person back to the surface and maybe happy. Let me practice. So now you're always just practicing your skill set of being emotionally agile. Hey, time out. You know I love you, right? You know I love you, right? I do. just because we don't agree right now in the moment, and that does not stop the fact that I don't love you, because I do. Man, that shit, all those things are game changers. Time out. My job right now is to make you happy as a customer. That's my job. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for customers like you. So I appreciate you as a customer. And so the customer's always relevant to us. So I want to first apologize for that. So the next goal is, let's get to a solution. Let's get to a solution. What do you need? When do you need it? How do you need it? What you want it to look like? And then you give it to them and you give them some more. Hey, here's what you asked for, but I was thinking about you because you said you wanted this. I'm going to throw this in for you. Here you go. You want to talk about scaling? That's how you scale. I'm giving you all the game, all the shit that we use. Can you hand Jordan the mic? Jordan, grab the mic real quick. How much am I lying, bro? Speak on how you were trained on that same shit.
When it comes to customer service, at the end of the day, the customer always wins. And just not to play the right and wrong game. You can't hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? When it comes to customer service, at the end of the day, the customer always wins. So we don't get tied into playing the right or wrong game, but we look to bring a solution to the table at all times.
You got to be emotionally agile for this to work, right? How new was this for you when you walked into the office?
It was real new. I was uncomfortable every day.
Why were you uncomfortable?
Just getting on phones with the customer. Court throw me in a fire when it come to bringing a solution to the table after we fucked up. And I just wasn't comfortable with talking to a customer, knowing I had to apologize and take full accountability.
That's beautiful. How comfortable are you now?
I'm I'm comfortable, but I still got work to do.
I love the reason why that's dope is because we ain't raised for that. We're not raised as black folks to take accountability and to apologize. We're not raised like that. So it's counterintuitive to our upbringing. I was so good at deflecting when I was wrong. Oh man, I was so good at it. Making you feel like you crazy. Making you think you crazy. The apology rarely ever came out my mouth because that's not how I was raised. So in business, you got to understand that's now your tool. And you don't feel no lesser about yourself. It's a tool now that you have. Let's go to the next slide.
You don't want me to read the bottom of the one?
Sorry,
Okay.
just read the bottom.
It says, and rather than letting these feelings derail them, emotionally agile people effectively turn themselves towards and all toward their loftiest ambitions.
Okay, so emotionally agile people now, they don't run from no smoke. You don't run from the smoke anymore. You stand in the smoke. You stand in the fire. You're willing to engage in any situation. That's the beauty of it. You're paying attention. Shit get weird, or you got to apologize, or you got to tell somebody to fuck off, or anything in between. Emotionally agile people are ready to play in that space with you. So people who aren't are in the next slide. This is what they do.
Unhappy in a relationship, find another. Not productive enough, there's an app for that.
Okay, so if you find yourself life hopping, business hopping, job hopping, relationship hopping, friend hopping, is because you're afraid to stay in the smoke and the fire and resolve situations. You're not emotionally agile. You're hoping to find your solution outside of yourself. If you're unhappy in a relationship, right now you're blaming them. It's their fault. So the best solution with your thinking is just hop into another relationship. But once you start playing this emotionally agile, the emotional agility game, you'll realize some of your best relationships are the ones you're about to leave. Some of the best life partners, the best business partners, the best employees weren't the ones you fired. They just needed to stand in the fire with you and be refined. Firing is definitely a thing, though. Absolutely. But some of those situations, some of those relationships, some of those good women that you claim ain't out there, some of those good men that you claim ain't out there, they was laying in your bed at one time. Next to you. You had them. But something happened where you were so emotionally rigid, you were unwilling to stand in the fire with them and work with them and be honest. You just ran. You played a running game. And a lot of us do it. A lot of us do it. But just remember, the same way we talked about the money, all your life situations around you that surround your money, your life, your relationship, your business, all is a reflection of your emotional agility, period. So if it's not the time that you don't argue in a relationship that make your relationship solid. If you can go long runs without arguing with your significant other, it's what happens when the time you do. Then what happens? Then what happens? What happens when you get into it with your business partner, or you get into it with an employee, or you get into it with your significant other? Then that's the defining moment. And guess what? If you're emotionally agile, meaning you're standing in the smoke and you're looking for the most effective answer, the most effective solution, then the outcomes are going to be vastly different than how you was raised or how you heard your parents do it. It's the truth. Let's keep going.
When we don't like what's going on in our inner world, we apply the same mindset. We go shopping, we get a new therapist, or we resolve to fix our own unhappiness and dissatisfaction and simply think positive.
So you put your stake in the ground as an entrepreneur. This is my business. This is my business. This is my location, my address. This is what I provide. This is my product or service. If you're not emotionally agile, you can't run from your business like that. Where you gonna go? This is your shit. You wake up that next morning, you can't quit your job. You can't quit your job. You made this shit. That's why it takes emotional agility to be able to stand in the middle of your business or your living room, if that's where your business is, and say, I have the power to change it. And I got to gain control of my business. How do you gain control? You do what? You ask questions. You have the power. It's unlimited. It don't matter. Like, you have unlimited resources in your head. Try anything. I said it a couple weeks ago. During the pandemic, I played a game in my head. If I fired myself and said, okay, if I played the game of I'm walking into this office as the new CEO of Courtsmith, what would I do? And guess what? My brain fell for it. I came up with some new ideas. Fuck, it don't matter if this shit works, like if it's logical or not. I said it well enough in my head for my brain to believe it, and now I walked in there with a fresh perspective. Well, this doesn't work. I gathered everybody around. I did everything short, but introduced myself as a new fucking name. Got on the board and said, "Hey guys, let's get some shit together. This is a new year. I want to write on this board everything that's not working for this company prior to this. Like I was a new CEO. What didn't work for you? We made a whole list. What would you like to see different in the company? Made a whole list. Now let's start chunking away at this shit and knocking it down and improving. You got control. You got control, but you got to start asking questions, and you can't ask questions from an emotionally rigid place because everything is a lighthouse. Everything is a lighthouse, and now you're telling shit to get out your way. Let's go to the next slide.
Negativity is normal.
Okay, stop right there. All right. So this think positive shit, we're gonna stop right there. We're gonna stop at this think positive shit all the time. That's not it. So I don't know if y'all been in the space of like a whole bunch of like self-help motivational shit, or even in my woo-woo space. It's heavy in the woo-woo space. And I love the woo-woo shit. But the think positive movement, it doesn't work. You can't think positive all the time. We ain't built for that. We're not built for that. Motivation, the root of motivation is not positive in itself. It's negative. Motivation is just as much negative as it is positive. It comes from a place of pain. So that's what why this whole thing is confusing of motivation, motivational speakers and all this shit and positive thinking when the root of motivation comes from a negative space. So sometimes it's good to be fucking mad, to be irritated, to be angry, to think negative, to say what's the worst that can happen. Because a lot of times that can boost you out of your situation. Again, it's temporary. But you use it. Thinking positive all the time is not it. Now, overall, do we want to be in positive spaces? Of course we do. Do we want to be thinking in positive spaces? Of course we do. Do we want to be thinking positive? Of course we do. But will it happen all the time? Fuck no. And when it don't, you embrace it. Because your body never lies to you. So it already knows if you're bullshitting anyway. If you look in the mirror and say, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, your brain's like, this motherfucker's bullshit. You might start scratching your head or twerking your neck because it knows you're lying. Your body knows you're lying. Now, you can build up. Here's the difference. If you're in a sad place, you're in a negative place, and you want to get out of that negative place. You don't want to be in that negative place. You can mentally walk yourself up into a positive space by telling yourself the truth, not thinking positive. Now, the second thing is this. It doesn't matter whether or not you want to think good or bad, positive, negative. You want to think what is the best solution for this particular situation. What's the best solution? The best solution might be, I got to let this person go. I got to let this person go. What's fun about that? What's positive? Like, what's fun about that? It ain't fun. Now, overall, it can be positive for both of you guys. Because A, it frees up the space for you with somebody who's taking your company in a direction that is not profitable for the company. And B, it may open up the space that allow them to find something that's truly for them. But in the moment, shit ain't fun. Shit ain't fun. You may have to put some fire up under somebody. Or literally just you may just had a fucked up day. Hey, how was your day? It was great. No, it was what it was. What can I learn from it? How can I grow from it? Let's read.
This is a fundamental fact. We are wired to feel negative at times. It's simply a part of the human condition. Too much stress on being positive is just one more way our culture, figuratively, over-medicates the normal fluctuations of our emotions, just as society often literally over-medicates rambunctious children and women with mood swings.
I don't even need to jump on that. Do you realize part of the issues in our society today in America is because we have removed all of as much of the tension out of our society as we can.
This is just as sucks.
Straight up. We remove the tension, the arguing, the fighting, we removed all those things that create tension and friction within our world that makes us better. Man, these two kids came to our office today. 8-year-old and 6 years old. I walked up. I said, "Hey, what's your name?" "Cam. How you doing?" "My name is Cam. What's your name?" Like confident as hell. Yo. So we start talking. He's talking to me like he's a grown ass man. Have you watched the new Bel Air movie? I've seen one episode. It's dope. You need to watch it. He's like, "Dad, I'll be back." Him and the little brother go outside by themselves and go play with the basketball hoops outside, run back in. Like, I'm thinking, damn, am I in the 80s again? These kids was like throwbacks to the 80s. It was refreshing to see just to be around these kids. Because nowadays, kids are they've removed all the tension, all the pain, all the tension. So these kids are babied and they're impotent now.
Let me throw some on there real quick, just a little bit. Men, one of the number one goals of a father in a household is to introduce tension to the children and friction. That's your job. Yeah. And a lot of times when these households are going without men presence, they're not getting that tension and friction they need to deal with the rest of the world. So part of a man's role in a household is introducing, now mind you, women balance that tension, otherwise men will go too goddamn far. But relationships is about balance. And we both bring value to children's evolution. And I know a lot of men think that your only value is sexual or raising your voice or your muscles and your strength. But you'll realize one of your major values as a man is prepping your children to deal with the world that's full of friction and clashes.
It's real. There's a basketball player called Rick Barry. I don't know if you guys remember Rick Barry, OG. He played for the Warriors for a little bit. He was a proponent of the underhanded free throw, right? 90-something% free throw average. But what's more incredible about that is that he did a speech at USC one day, and he said, you know, the interesting thing, I wasn't that athletic. I just played smart as hell. And so I had 4 boys. And how did 3 of the 4 of them make it to the NBA with my genes? So you know what I did? Is that I played for the Golden State Warriors. I played in Oakland. Over time, I generated friends in Oakland. And so what I would do is I would drop my sons off, 3 white boys, in the hood gyms. And I knew that the people I dropped them off with, I trusted that they would be safe and protected to a degree, but I would disappear. And they'd be in the hood, West Oakland gyms, East Oakland, EOIDC, Bushrod, all these gyms, these three little scrawny white boys is learning. So over time, they grew up around tension and friction and and having to get over fears and being punked. And over time, they got tough. So all three of those Barry boys who went to the NBA can thank Oakland for that. He didn't just throw them out there in the wild to die. He did it in a safe environment. So understand that it is a harmony between, like, most of the pain, fear, and tension we feel is in our heads anyway. The real physical threat is very minimal. So when you throw them in the fire, so to speak, most of the time them being in a fire is just all in their heads. You know they good. But it builds a toughness in you over time that you can take anywhere. Because now you're like, shit, if I play here, I could play anywhere. If I play it against these kids, I can play anywhere. There's a kid going into the draft right this year, 2022, from Oakland. Killer player, point guard, just a monster. And he's the same age as one of my sons. And my son had reached his peak, right? He was good at all around. I'm like, all right, yeah, that's cool. You were good. You beat all these kids in Alameda. We're going to go to the hood now. Walked him to the hood, and the first person he had to play against was this kid. And my son was maybe 5th grade. And this kid just demolished my son. So at the end of practice, my son's in the car. He crying. I said, so what's up? Do you want to quit now? Are you done? He's like, no. I said, well, what you want to do? Get better. I said, all right, then let's do. That's your standard. That's the marker. I said, that kid, to be honest with you, is good as fuck. So it's probably not going to be too many kids better than him. So use him as a standard. Come back next week and do it again and let him beat you less. Come back and do it again, let him beat you less. Come back and do it again, let him beat you less. And that's what he did over time. So at certain points in their high school career, they was battling. It wasn't no edge over the other. They was battling. And all because it's having enough emotional agility to be able to take less of a loss every time. Not about winning. It's about growing. Let's do this last slide.
The tiny tweaks principle versus cold turkey principle.
Rolls right into what I'm saying. It's about the tiny tweaks. It's no way that you can whoop him today. It was no way. That kid was polished as fuck. Was raw at 10, he was raw. And my son was so used to playing with them kids in Alameda that he didn't have that same friction and tension. So at that point, you can't measure by a win or a loss. You have to measure by, he beat me by 20 last time. He beat me by 19 this time. Yes. 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 What you so fucking happy about? Yes, I'm getting better. Next time you beat me by 16. Next time you beat me by 12. Next time you beat me by 7. When he beats you by 2, then he starts to get it. Oh shit. Oh shit. Now he's scrambling to get better, but the momentum's too late. That's the tiny tweak principle. A lot of times we want to do cold turkey. Cold turkey works sometimes. I'm going to stop smoking. Boom. I decide I'm going to quit. Never picked up a cigarette again. That happens sometimes. I'm going to lose weight. Boom. I'll change my diet today. And boom, it's over. Never eating bad again. That happens rare. That's rare. Emotional agility says, I'm strong enough emotionally to look for the wins inside the losses. I'm agile emotionally enough to do tiny tweaks. If you're addicted to something and you do it every day and you decide you won't quit, you get to day 15 and you fell off. Fuck. Good job. You did that thing half the amount of time you did it the month before. That's a fucking amazing. Let's try again. Let's try again. Let's try again tomorrow. Let's keep trying. Over time, you'll realize that 2022, you did that thing that you was addicted to only a quarter of the year when you add it all up. When the year prior, you did it every day. You got to look at the tiny tweaks, the small adjustments. There's another guy who says a good illustration saying that most of the things outside of us is only 3 degrees. Only 3 degrees. But it's like you're swinging a golf club. So 3 degrees in a golf club is immense when you long term. You'll hit the ball, but if you're only 3 degrees off, that's the difference between going straight and hooking or fading and going in the trees. But because of the drastic look of it, of not being straight and in the trees, you think you got to make vast adjustments, and you don't. You just got to make small tweaks. 1 degree here. Let's see what 1 degree looks like. See what another degree looks like. Let me pull this thing out. Let me add this. Let me stop doing this. Let me add this thing. And you'll be surprised the long-term effects that you have based on the small, minute things that you change.
I was going to give you kudos for that one, because in the military, for aircraft carriers, because they're so large, if you turn or make too many changes at one time, it'll throw it out of balance and throw everything off. So they only, when it's time to change, or like at that lighthouse, hey, you're coming towards me, you only move it when they have to turn 3 degrees at a time. Otherwise, everything else just gets thrown off.
That's real. That's why it's not about starting over or doing a new. No, most of success in life is just adjusting small tweaks, tiny tweaks. Then you can track the data. You can take notes. You can introspect. You can say, all right, I added this ingredient. If you're a cook and you're trying to perfect a recipe, do you have a new recipe every time? How do you make that meal the best you can make it? It's just adding and taking away and including and taking out. So if I were you, I would adopt the tweak methodology more than I'm just going cold turkey. I'm going to stop doing this. Shit rarely works. If you happen to hit the lottery, or there is ways in psychology that can work, and there's a leverage aspect to it. If you have enough leverage, it can work. Meaning if the stick is big enough and it hurts hard enough when you get hit, then you can change. But you don't want to move like that, because you won't have a head. You have lumps all over your head. Tiny tweaks allows you to grow and expand in a much more safer space for yourself. I'm gonna call this the last slide. We got questions online? Let's go for it.
Well, Tavita wants to rethink her question. So online, I think we're good. I was trying to see if Tavita wanted. She had a good question, and I wasn't more or less concerned about answering for her. I was more or less. I'm sure that a lot of people struggle with it. It was a good question for everybody, but I want to give her a chance to reframe it probably for next week.
Okay.
So, wait a minute. There's no class next week.
There's no class next week.
No class next week. So, this is the last Wednesday of this month, of April. Huh?
Yeah, there's no class next week.
And also, I'm going to put out, look forward to a strong podcast being uploaded for the break. It's going to be, I think I'm going to upload 2 very strong podcasts, one being 3 hours long, the other one being 2 hours long. They're going to be very high-level podcasts. I'm going to challenge you guys to think, to push you guys a little bit. But also, too, hey, Court, what do you think about when we come back? You know how we do a Q&A class? What about the first, we sent an email to Neil, but the first class back is going to be a Q&A class. And so, folks, to Neil, if you can try to get people to lob some questions up early, and we want to go through a list of questions. And I'm talking about from small details to complexities, to how to why to what, where, when, and how. But I want a list of questions, and in some cases, if you post a question, just know we might need you to elaborate. We may even have you chime in, so we can get some people to come into class who have a lot of questions. But next week, I want this to be about questions, because I want to show how Court has given you the answers, but you guys want, instead of him giving you all the ingredients to be your own chef, you guys want him to make you the cake. And so Court is giving you so much material. I'm going to probably, as we answer your questions, you're going to see us reference a lot of stuff that we taught already. So bring all your questions. I'm talking about no business question will be considered a weak question.
That's a great point. I don't know if you guys remember Karate Kid, right? Where he's making them paint the shit, he's making them wax, and at a certain point, the kid is pissed off because he didn't teach him karate. He's teaching him how to paint and how to wax and do all this shit, and then he throws a punch at him and he fucking blocks it, and he swings at him and then he blocks it again, and he realizes, oh shit, you have been teaching me this whole time. That's what wax on and wax off is. We're not giving you the exact recipe. We're teaching you how to fucking wax on and wax off so that when you go to your own business, you perform. Because I don't know what you do, but these principles will help you, period, regardless. If you're a fucking deep sea diver, it's the same principles. So, dope. I'm excited about that. That's gonna be fun, and we'll answer your questions and really like bring this shit full circle. So, all right. Well, I'll see you guys not next week, but the week after, and we'll keep rocking and rolling. All right.